I have been really reticent to make this video. I have not wanted to admit where I am to myself, to my family, to anyone still following me. I just, I have been hoping that this problem would go away, that I would overcome it and be able to talk about it from the other side. But that's not happening. And I feel like it's important for people who feel the same way I do, who grew up the same way I did, to feel like they're not alone. Because so much of social media is focused on extremes. And I want to talk about my weight. So, where I am right now, I am 200 and, at this point, 209 pounds. Which, when you think about the extremes of the human body and shows like My 600-Pound Life and 1,000-Pound Sisters, that's not crazy. But when you think about what's healthy and where I should be medically, it's it's not good. It's not great. Um, I feel like to understand why I'm struggling, we have to go back and talk about my mindset when it comes to my body image, because that has never been good. My body image has never been good. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I look very different now from when I started on YouTube. Um, here's a couple of pictures. I'll put them somewhere from when I started YouTubing, when I started joining social media. Um, I was in, I think, ninth or 10th grade when I really started on social media. And I had never struggled with my weight or my body or fitness ever. I was a very active child. I was a very active teenager. I was skating, figure skating, um, 6 to 8 hours most days. I was skating for close to 10 hours on Saturdays with very little food because I didn't ever think ahead to bring any and I didn't have any money to buy there. So I was consistently working out. At gym class, I would consistently try to be the fastest, the strongest, the quickest. If we ran track, I was trying to beat everybody's time. I was usually in the top 3. I had a 5-minute mile. I had an incredible amount of stamina. I could dance for hours. I used to get together with friends on the weekends and I would play games like Just Dance, and we would dance all day without a break. We would consistently play. And so I never really had a problem. Around ninth grade, and or 10th, when I joined social media, we also started talking in school about eating disorders, and body image. And at this point, I did not know what an eating disorder was. I didn't really understand the concept of body image. I had always been small. I had always been thin. I I knew I was cute. Like I didn't really have a problem. And I distinctly remember in class we watched a video about anorexia. And this is where I was introduced to the concept of anorexia. And the girls in the video who were, it was like an acted out skit. So there were actors playing these girls who had anorexia. And it was one of those scare movies where like one of them had an anorexia, one of them had bulimia, and they didn't eat or they binged and purged, and they showed it. And then they showed the progression of weight loss, but you couldn't really see it because they were actors. And then one of them died of starvation. So this was like the thing was supposed to scare you and talk to you about healthy eating and like make sure you weren't falling into these patterns. But the thing that struck me the most was how beautiful the girls in that video were, because they were actors. They were gorgeous. They had perfect makeup and perfect hair, and they wore beautiful prom dresses, and they were just thin and stunning. And what I took away from that was that when you have this thing, when you are anorexic or you are bulimic, you get to look this way. And I don't know why, but my like ninth grade brain just skipped over the whole fact that one of these girls died. I feel like when you're when something unhealthy is happening to you, or when you start doing something unhealthy, you think, I'm fine, it's never going to happen to me, I can do this the right way. And that's when I really started to scrutinize how I looked. And I'll put up a picture of how I looked. And I was adorable. I looked fine. There was nothing wrong with me or my body. My stomach was flat. I was toned. I was healthy. But I started to obsess about every wrinkle in my skin, every crease, every lump, every bump that I didn't have any. I just I imagined them there, and so they were there. And I started obsessively weighing myself. Oh, when around the time I started weighing myself is around the time that I hit puberty. I hit it late. I hit it closer to 15. And I went from roughly 105, 110 pounds to 115 to close to 120. I think I went up to 119 pounds, which for someone of my height at that point, I was like 5.5, 5'6". I'm 5'7" now, so I was pretty close to full grown. That's on the low end of the spectrum. You really shouldn't weigh 110 pounds at 5'7". It's low. So I saw the scale creeping up and up and up, pound by pound by pound, and it was happening in a relatively short amount of time because I was growing. My breasts were growing. I was getting hips. I had started my period. All of those things add pounds. I started to obsess over maintaining my 110-pound weight. And I did not know how to do this in a healthy way. I had not been exposed to healthy ways of dieting. I had a very healthy diet growing up. My mom was a bit of a health nut, and my dad used to be a boxer, so they were both very into fitness and health. But in sort of maintaining, neither of them at that point had really struggled with their weight at all. You know, they had been thin growing up. They had been thin as teenagers. They had been thin as adults. They had been active. My mom was a dancer, and like I said, my dad was a boxer. And so the one thing that was consistent through their youth was that neither of them ate very much. More so my mom. Her diet when she was dancing up until she was like 35 consisted of one or two like of these little seed cakes that she would get, which is basically nuts in honey. One or two of those and a bowl of miso soup. And she would have that every day, which I've done the math is like 500 calories maybe. And obviously she had to have been eating more than that on and off. Like she would go and eat at her family's and she would go to dinner, but like that's all that she would eat consistently throughout every day. And so she was very small. And my mom is a very small person. She's 5'2", and up until she had me, she was like 90 to 100 pounds. So I was used to seeing those images of my mom when she was young. And then I started seeing images on social media of what I considered to be beautiful. And these were very thin girls. I got really into uh, Japanese culture. I fell in love with anime and I started watching J-pop and K-pop videos. And those girls are very, very small. And I am not built like a bird. I was thin, but I have a broader build than the girls that I was seeing. My shoulders are broader, my rib cage is broader. When I was 13, I could not zip up my mom's wedding dress. I'm just physically bigger than the people I was looking up to. And not in a bad way, but I wasn't what I thought I needed to be. And so I started looking online for help. And that is when I stumbled across the Pro Anna community on Tumblr and the Thinspo community. And I stopped eating completely. For years, I ate almost nothing. I would fast for days. At school, I would get a plate of buttered noodles and I would eat a few bites or maybe half of it and then throw the rest away. Sometimes I wouldn't even touch it. And when I got home, I would claim I wasn't hungry. I never ate breakfast. I have never eaten breakfast. I'm not good at eating breakfast. I don't get hungry in the mornings. And I survived on empty sugars, like Otter Pops, like ice pops, just to keep my energy up. I would go through like a pack in like 2 days. I would just eat them one after another because it was just ice. And I realized now like it was just a lot of sugar, but I wasn't eating anything else. I have always loved food. I still love food, but I would purge because I like they would bring donuts and I would want to eat a donut. And so I would eat one and then I would feel like a level of panic because I had eaten a whole donut and so I would run to the bathroom and I would puke it up. And I would exercise obsessively on very little food to get rid of the rest of it. And that was my life up until I got married. Even through that, my husband at the time was very focused on weight and fitness and looking a certain way. And it was one of the things that we would talk about a lot. I would order something like fries, and he would point blank tell me that if I wanted to maintain my weight, if I wanted to reach my weight goals, I wouldn't be able to eat that or I shouldn't order that. At this point, I was in my 20s. I was 20 when I got married. And I was roughly 125 pounds. I continued to gain a pound or two as I was growing and maturing into a woman. My weight went up naturally, as it does. You do not weigh the same when you're 15 as you do when you're 30. It just doesn't happen. It's not supposed to happen that way. I was panicking. I was weighing myself constantly. And I realized, I knew for a while that I had a problem. And I was like, it's fine. It's getting me where it is. It's getting me where I want to go. It's fine. I kind of ignored it. And then around the age of 23 ish, I started going to the doctor more. I got health insurance and I started going to the doctor regularly. Originally to get birth control, but I started consistently going. I started being a little more conscious of my health. And my vitamins were low. And my weight was still going up. And I realized it was because I wasn't eating enough. There were times when I would restrict myself to 800 calories a day for weeks. I would do a lot of fasting. I would do a lot of like lettuce diets just to try to maintain my weight. So I was trying to maintain it, but not in a healthy way. And I really started to, and I had never felt good about myself, but I really started to feel bad about myself, about how I looked. And I'll post put up a couple of pictures up here. I looked great. I, but I never saw it. And that's the frustrating thing is like, while I had it, I never enjoyed it. And I mean, like, I dressed to show it off, but I never enjoyed it. Whenever I wore something tight, I was constantly sucking myself in and holding myself in and trying to flex my abs and trying to look a certain way, to look like fitness models. They don't even look like that, which is the thing, because I knew this, but I thought, they don't look like that, but I can look like that. I can make myself look like that. I tried to fix it. I started going to therapy. I started trying to eat more. It never really went away, kind of this mental checking. And I was weighing myself constantly. And as I watched the scale increase from 125 to 135 to 145, I was constantly freaking out. And I was getting constant reinforcement that I should be freaking out, that this is not a good thing, that I did need to lose weight, that I needed to be more healthy or more active. Or I'm thinking about it now, like I used to hike for hours, I used to skate every morning. I was having lessons once a week. I was so active. And I was working retail, so I was walking around a store 8 hours a day. And then I started working an office job, and I was sitting down and drinking coffee consistently with lots of sugar because I love my coffee with sugar. And I was snacking constantly because I was bored. And then I would go home and I was too tired to cook, so I would just pick up fast food on the way home. And so I was consistently gaining weight and gaining more weight and gaining more weight. And then I went through a divorce. And anyone who's been through a divorce or a breakup, even, it's stressful. And at this point, I was really trying to get myself to a body positive place, to a place where I appreciated my body, where I liked it, where I was okay. And like looking at my BMI and like my all of the health things, I was fine. I didn't need to lose weight. I was fine. So I did a couple of things that helped. I threw away my scale. I got rid of it. I did not have a scale in the house. I stopped counting calories. I stopped thinking about what I was eating. Whatever I wanted to eat, whatever I was hungry for, I would get it, I would eat it. And I successfully like beat my eating disorder to a point. I don't think it ever really leaves you, but I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about my eating. I wasn't constantly obsessing about food. I wasn't thinking about food all day. I would just get hungry and then I would get something. But over those 2 years, I became less and less active. Because of my divorce and my financial situation at that point, I had to quit skating, and I also have some problems with my hips, my knees, and my ankles from skating for so long when I was younger. It is a very high impact sport, and so it's not a long sport. You don't stay in it for very long. You see a lot of professional figure skaters, they retire very early, like 22, 23, 25. That is because it's not sustainable. You cannot continue to do it at that level. And I was skating and competing at a medium level. It was not a high level, but it was still high impact. It was a lot of jumps, a lot of spins, a lot of intense work, a lot of stretching yourself into positions that you're not really meant to stretch yourself into. And so I have a lot of joint issues from that. And so for those reasons, I had to quit skating. And I live in a very warm place. It is hot outside for a lot of the year. And so I stopped working out entirely. I stopped being active. I stopped going on walks, on hikes. I stopped doing things. And I was working at a desk, sitting down, and then going home and sitting down and watching TV and then going to bed. And so, like, the amount of walking I was doing was so minimal. And I was eating a lot and whatever I wanted. And I have maintained that lifestyle for 2 years. Over those 2 years, I have gained roughly 80 pounds. So I'm over 200. I get winded when I get off the couch. I don't look great. I don't feel great. And I don't feel healthy. I can't do the active things that I want to do. It hurts to walk. I can walk for maybe 30 minutes. Walk. I tried to run recently. I can't run. I used to I used to go for 45-minute, hour-long runs. I used to finish 5Ks in 30 minutes. Like, I used to be so fast and so fit, and none of it is there anymore, and it needs to change. So, I've decided to make this video because I need to not be afraid of putting it out there. I need to not be worried about failure, about looking a certain way, about presenting myself a certain way. This is where I'm at. And I'm not happy with it. And it's not a good place to be. And so here is what I'm doing. I have started a health journey. And I'm going to focus on weight loss, but I'm mainly going to focus on doing that in a healthy way. I have started a weight tracker, which helps you track all of your calories and then everything you're burning, including things like housework, because housework does burn calories. And if you're doing a lot of housework in a day, you do need to eat to compensate for that. Like, you need to eat food. There is a certain limit you should not go below. So it helps you figure out what you should be eating, when, and how. So I've started doing that. I'm using my Fitbit app. I'm using my Fitbit, and I recently ordered a fitness bike that folds up and goes under my bed. So I don't have any excuse not to exercise. If it's too hot outside, if the gym is closed, if it's a pandemic, which it is, I have a fitness bike. I can put it on in front of the television. I can do that. That is now an option for me, and I have made that an option because I am trying to remove all the barriers, all of the excuses, all of the things I've told myself over the past 2 years to not be healthy. I've really struggled. And mentally, I've really struggled. There were times up until 2 years ago where I would look in the mirror and think, damn, I am hot. That doesn't happen anymore. I have not thought that in my head for almost 2 years. And to me, that's not acceptable. If I want other people to find me attractive, and my fiance does, he thinks I am beautiful, I am stunning, he loves how I look, he encourages me every day. But if I want him to find me attractive, I need to find myself attractive. And that's very important to me. And I need to be healthy because I want to have children. I want to be able to do things with them. I want to be able to do things like LARPing. Um, I want to be able to go for long walks, go for hikes. I want to be able to, uh, you know, do Pokemon Go events. I want to be able to do things, and I can't right now. So this is the start of my journey. This is it. There is no going back. I'm putting it out there. This is it. There may be a setback, times where I don't do everything right because I really don't know what I'm doing at this point, but I'm going to learn. And I'm inviting you guys to join me in that process of learning how to be healthy, how to be fit, how to eat right. I'm starting a playlist on my YouTube channel completely devoted to this. I'm going to try and vlog at least once a week. Whenever I really feel like I need to talk about whatever I'm doing, I'm going to be sharing all of the food that I'm making. I will be posting a lot of that on my Instagram. I'm going to be sharing my struggles and my wins and my losses. I really hope that you guys come along for the ride and you really enjoy this process with me because I want to enjoy this process and I want to be honest about it. And so this is a way for me to hold myself accountable. And if you want to join me, I invite you to join me on my Instagram, on my Discord, in the comments. Feel free. Share your struggles. Share your insights over the next year, maybe two. I can hit that goal of being healthy and then move past that goal to a life of being healthy, which is what I really want. It's not so much about how I look anymore, it's about how I want to live. And I'm really excited to start living that way. So thank you guys so much for watching this. If you've made it to this point, you get like 1,000,000 points. Thank you for watching this whole video. Bye, and I'll see you next time.